know that I have known Jake Lang, one of the Jan 6'ers, for it's going to be 5 years. I don't remember the first interview that we did when he was in pretrial detention. And I remember at the time being surprised at the controversy that my interviewing Jake Lang from behind bars had, because I don't remember the order of any of this now, but I had met Adam Johnson Lectern guy. We have since become good friends. I met Jake Lang. I've since met Steve Baker, who was also one of the Jan 6 victims. I'm not going to remember everybody's name now. Oh, it's going to drive me crazy. And I just had on Will Pope yesterday. So I've been interviewing and covering this for the last 5 years. And when I had Jake on, it ruffled some feathers. I didn't understand that there was some infighting involving shipwrecked crew, Jake Lang and others in jail, alleging some sort of confusing fundraising, yada, yada, yada. And I was not interested in getting involved in the infighting among Jan 6'ers because it would distract from the underlying injustice and the ultimate objective of getting them all out and getting them all, pardoned. Steve Baker is another good person to follow. Polish dog. Yep, he's back at home after his health issue, and continue to pray and continue to hope for a full recovery. And I hopefully can get Steve Baker on one of these days. So I was surprised by that, and I didn't care to get into it. Jake spent 4 years locked up in various facilities, and some people are saying, well, that's what you get, and he's doing his time now because pretrial detention counts for 1.5 or whatever, 2 times the amount, and he's sure going to get convicted because he admits to having hit officers with a baseball bat, when his defense was it was either before, during, or after, or contemporaneously with Roseanne Boylan getting beaten and stomped to death, and he was there when she died. And I said, look, dude, understood. People didn't like him. He was quite vocal, quite active, doing live streams from jail. Fine. He spent 4 years in there. He got out, and he came over for a barbecue a couple weeks after he got out. And this is not to be holier than thou or a sissy Canadian. And maybe it's a bit of projection, but I don't think so. And everyone I've spoken to who spent any meaningful time in jail, or even not meaningful time in jail, locked up, incarcerated, it will break you to greater or lesser degrees. And I don't think you do 4 years plus in various hellholes. I think he said like 1,500 days in solitary. That might be a bit over the number. He spent a substantial amount of time in solitary. Whether or not he asked for it, whether or not he agitated his way into it, that will break a person. It will cause irreparable scars. And no matter how well you try to pass off you're dealing with them, irreparable scars. Post-traumatic stress disorder, and it doesn't make you a weak person or a sissy, and it doesn't make me weak or a sissy to assume that everyone who is locked up for any extended period of time will suffer from a greater or lesser degrry of PTSD. They'll wake up in the middle of the night, have no idea where they are, think they're back in the prison. Oh my goodness. I'm getting confused as to who spent 70 days in there. Lectern guy, I think, spent 70 some odd days. It will traumatize you, period. And so when Jake came out and he comes over and we're having a barbecue and he's been locked up in a hellhole and he gets out for the first time in 4 years and can smell the fresh air, I say the man, whether or not he knows it, I believe that he's broken. I believe that he needs to heal. And if he finds that healing in religion and faith, more power to him. He's since gone on a crusade, pun intended, because that's what they're calling it, in Minnesota to protest immigration in the country. I had him on since to talk about it. And, when it gets to the substance of the debate on geopolitics, immigration, he raises legitimate points. I say that, and then I say, when you go burn a Quran or slap a Quran with bacon in front of a bunch of Muslims in Michigan, some people will say, congratulations on moving the Overton window, and others are going to say, this is the type of conduct that makes it more difficult for others to air their legitimate political grievances on these issues. In the exact same way that, and I still defend her right to say all of it, in the exact same way that Candace Owens has gone so over the top with critique of Israel, and Israel's responsible for everything, and Zionists and all this other crap, it makes it impossible for other people to then legitimately air their legitimate grievances against Netanyahu, the Israeli government, without people saying, oh, another Candace kook, don't listen to them. I thoroughly believe, do you remember back in the day, like the whole flat earth conspiracy started getting promoted on YouTube? And it was weird because at the time, YouTube was like censoring conspiracy theories and yet somehow promoting the flat earth conspiracy theory. And I now thoroughly believe that the reason for them doing that in the day was so that they can then easily say anybody promoting any conspiracy theory is as dumb and whacked out as the people who float the flat earth conspiracy. So you talk about January 6th being a Fedsurrection. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. They're as whacked out as the flat earthers. Oh, you think there might have been more than one person involved in the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt? Flat earthers, write them off. Oh, you think, what's that guy's name? Ryan Ruth, the pro-Ukrainian, apparently trying to draft Iranian terrorists to join the militia to fight Russia. You think that there might have been something more deep statey to that? Flat earther, write them off. And so you have people who engage in behavior which is actually counterproductive and undermines the very objective that they are either legitimately trying to pursue or sincerely trying to sabotage. That's a very long-winded intro to this video, which I said, that's it. I mean, I know Jake. I think this is something of, I say something of a joke, something of a LARPing. And I had to express my thoughts on it yesterday. Now I can't find my tweet, which is going to drive me crazy. I have to go back to my Twitter feed. And I put it out yesterday. I said, first of all, again, you know, like, I don't know what's a real video anymore. I see this being quote tweeted by other people. I'm like, is this AI? This like, you know, I know he's out there being provocative. I know he's out there burning the Quran and slapping it with bacon, which, I mean, if your issue is Islamic immigration and you want to legitimately raise those political concerns, you may think it's unfair. You may think, oh, it's just words and it's just freedom of speech. You make it more difficult for everybody to advance those political causes through that type of conduct. And so there's going to be the hard N word in here. It's just a fair warning. Not everybody here is little snowflake ears, but this is the video that I saw. And when I look at, he might not want this level of sympathy or empathy. I still genuinely and sincerely see someone who's been broken by his life experience. And I don't know if this is a coping mechanism or if this is like a Bulworth type episode. By the way, everybody should go watch Bulworth. It's one of the better political commentaries of all time. Listen to this.
Go back, AIPAC, go back. That's the AIPAC building right there. White Christian men are not going to sit around while you turn our children into a bunch of nigger lovers.
We're going the wrong way. Where are we going?
Simple. I was just showing them the AIPAC building on my stream.
But guys, we'll see you in Minnesota, January 17th. Be there. If you guys are watching this and you're inspired, show up.
Like I'll stop it there. It sort of feels like Borat level shtick, and so I had to say that, you know, I told I had to privately ensure that the video was authentic before commenting. I thought it might have been AI. Disappointed it's not. I've known Jake for over 4 years, followed him through his Jan 6 persecution, advocated for his pardon despite the violent nature of the charges against him, regret nothing and apologize for nothing. A great injustice was inflicted upon Jake, and I think he bears the scars of that injustice. That said, this is not behavior that I'll have anything to do with directly or indirectly, actively or passively. If one were trying to sabotage Trump and the conservative movement, this is what they would do. If one were trying to sabotage the Christian revivalist movement, this is what they would do. I do not know what Jake's motivations are. I give him the benefit of the doubt. I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and operate on the basis that he's a broken man as a result of what was done to him. But nothing can excuse this, in my view. It might be fun to watch. It might give people some cathartic release. Yeah, something's doing what I've always wanted to do in my wildest dreams, if that's what you dream of. Whatever legitimate political grievance exists, this type of behavior specifically diverts and distracts from such a legitimate criticism. The ultimate irony is that the very same people Jake thinks he's courting with this behavior will never accept him as one of their own, and will turn on him on a dime when the opportunity arises. I wish Jake the healing that he clearly needs, but will have nothing to do with this type of activity going forward. Godspeed, God bless, and may he wake up. And the ultimate irony is you go through the Twitter feed. You know, you could do as many Sieg Heils as you want. And Jake is half Jewish, and there's a picture of him at the Wailing Wall as though that's the most sinful thing of all time from, 20 years ago. You go through those Twitter feeds, people aren't going to let him forget that he's Jewish in their eyes. You can do as many Sieg Heils as you want. You can quote scripture as much as you want, although quoting the scripture and doing the Sieg Heil it might be a little bit of a historical incongruity there. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. It's counterproductive. It's low level that actually impedes progress. And so to the extent, if one were an agitprop agent and they wanted to embarrass Trump and make him look like a fool for having pardoned the people that he pardoned, this is not a question of having a disagreement with Trump afterwards, like QAnon shaman, and I'm using that term loosely. I know it's Jake Angeli. This is not like Jake Angeli having a political grievance or even accusing Trump of being involved in conspiracies. This is like an outright embarrassment. It's remember when one of the Jan 6 individuals who got pardoned ended up getting shot dead by police. Jan 6 shot dead by police. I forget his name. There was a pardoned, I should say pardoned Jan 6ers. The chat will probably get it before I get it. Yeah, pardoned. It was Matthew Huddle. Or sorry, is it Huddle? Yes, Matthew Huddle. Matthew Huddle was one of the pardoned Jan 6ers who got shot dead in a traffic stop. And everyone who was an anti-Trumper, anti-conservative, who believes that the January 6th was an insurrection, oh, look at your boys now. These criminals were always criminals. They should never have gotten pardoned. Matthew Huddle, an Indiana man, pardoned by Trump for misdemeanor. He's pardoned for a misdemeanor. Fatally shot by Jasper County Sheriff's deputy during a January 2025 traffic stop after Huddle resisted arrest, ran to his vehicle, and appeared to reach for a firearm, leading to a struggle where the deputy fired his weapon, as confirmed by body cam footage and subsequent investigations, finding Huddle with a loaded gun in his car. Prosecutors found the deputy's use of force justified. No charges were filed. I don't know any conspiracy about it. I don't know if anyone falsified evidence. I could imagine that someone who had just been in jail for however long he had, who had just been abused by the system, and saw how corrupt the system was, now sees, I'm going to go back. Hell to the bell, no. Another broken man acting like a broken man might. But when that happened, you know damn well what happened. I lived through it at the same time. Everyone's like tagging me, not everyone, I should say, shithead trolls on Twitter. Hey, Viva, this is one of your boys fatally shot because he was resisting arrest. A, that doesn't mean he should not have gotten the pardon. But B, you know that your adversaries are going to take those types of examples to try to shame and retroactively rebuke the decision that they disagreed with at the time. So you have Jake Lang, a man who professes to be Christian, and I'm not going to lecture anybody on what it means to be Christian for obvious reasons. I would just imagine that the teachings of Jesus Christ do not involve doing the Sieg Heil, burning other religious scriptures and slapping them with bacon, and using the N-word lover to describe what I'm not even sure. Yeah, we're gonna with the future of America. I mean, last night, Jesus flipped over some tables at the Last Supper, and I'm fairly certain the other Jesus teaching is turn the other cheek, but not in the sense of be a total pushover. But you have a man who has some Jewish blood in him, and even his own audience will never let him forget it, who converted to Christianity, and now in the eyes of many is making a mockery of that, turning it into an offensive joke, and acting in a way that is going to make Trump, or at least give people the argument to say, hey, Trump, you're really pardoned a sweet one here. And the bottom line is it makes it more difficult for everyone to now have this discussion. It doesn't move the Overton window. It actually just allows those who might be the victimizers to claim to be the victim. I'm not talking about, anybody other than politicians right now. And now they're going to get to say, look at this. These savages, like throwing these wars around, doing the Sieg Heil, burning books and slap. They're trying to provoke. They're trying to victimize us. And so now we don't even have to discuss the policy that resulted in basically a full invasion of a country. Now we actually can make the stronger argument for more censorship, more police control, and less freedom of speech. Everybody loves bacon, Rabbi Schwarzenschmeckel. Everybody loves bacon. There's a reason why Jews who are kosher make things that taste like bacon that are kosher. Because bacon is the most delicious food on earth, period. Not ham, bacon, and good, crispy, maple smoked bacon. Not the thick one, the thin strips. And I live near a Brazilian meat shop. They have, oh my goodness. The bacon is delicious. Bacon is almost more delicious than lobster or squid, calamari, all of the good stuff, shrimp. So yeah, that's that. And I feel bad. I still, you know, it's weird to say he's still a good person despite doing what he's doing. Misguided and broken.